Wow. As always, well timed. That's right, Hadouken, and welcome everybody to this very special 2-year anniversary episode of the TBoD podcast. That's right, we are not today, we are kind of 1 and 16/17, I guess. It's our birthday on the 10th, which isn't too long away. It is the 6th today, so yeah, 4 days' time. We will have been broadcasting and assaulting your ear holes for 2 whole years. I am the Quim Ninja. Hello. If you're joining us via the audio, which will be coming out on the anniversary, or the stream today. And I'm joined by the man who's been here from the very beginning with me, the wonderful, the amazing, the JRPG obsessed eremenko.
Thanks for the wonderful intro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pleased to be here.
So today is where I'd usually say today is where we will be discussing gaming and the gaming industry and generally things that interest us in that kind of area. But this podcast is going to be a little bit different. And the reason I say that is because today we thought we would get a bit nostalgic around our humble beginnings. We thought we would talk a bit about, the things that we've gained or learned through this whole kind of podcasting roller coaster, as well as a bit of our plans for the future. And we were looking to round off, basically thanking everybody who has participated in whatever kind of small form that would be. I'm not sure if the stream actually captured the audio of that there.
It possibly did, yeah.
It possibly did, but that's all right.
Apologies.
Don't worry about it. We've got a better recording going anyway, so it's cool. So yes, I think before we do get onto that though, as I say, we wanted to examine our humble beginnings. Specifically, eremenko and myself have both actually went back and listened to the first ever podcast we made. Is that right?
Our very debut cast, we did indeed.
We did indeed. We thought it might be quite a good idea to do that, considering we wanted to see kind of how far we've come. Listening back to it, there was some evolution there, but quite a lot of it was stuff we've said a lot over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
It was almost like we hadn't changed at all.
It was nostalgic and familiar, maybe a little too much.
Yeah. Obviously, it's good to, be, have convictions and stick to your certain point of views and have things that you want to look forward to. But there were a couple of moments that when we were listening through to it that, we sound a bit like a broken record, let's just say that. Just like we're...
Suspiciously like a broken record.
Exactly. In fact, you could probably substitute this podcast with the first podcast and pretty much get the same overall experience. In fact, if you listen to the intro music via the iTunes version of this, it is exactly the same music.
Might sound like you're listening to the very first cast.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what? I've already listened to this one.
And at least the audio quality might have gone up a touch.
Yeah.
Essentially we've added more microphones. We've added a camera now. But really we're still the same dudes.
Still the same old cheese.
So yeah, with regards to that first podcast, what did we talk about in it? Well, it came out 2 years ago. And so it was just after the PlayStation 4 was announced. So we were kind of speculating around the kind of specs, or the rumored specs, because they didn't actually reveal them in the presentation.
No, they hadn't at that stage.
And obviously the similar kind of specs that we were expecting from the Xbox, because back in those days, it would be fair to say that we lent firmly into the kind of Xbox camp. Would you say that would be right?
I could not disagree with you. Yeah, that was exactly where we were. I mean, if you listen, as we were listening to the first cast, I think we knew this before we went back and listened to it, but from listening to it, it was very obvious that we were big Xbox fanboys at the time.
Sure. Just a quick question, because we are doing this live. Is that the title of our show?
No, I did just change it, but it's gone back.
All right, sweet. No, I think we have fair enough. Sorry, we're getting distracted by screens. This always happens. One of us is looking either at Tinder or at Twitch. You never know which one it is. That's the beauty of the show. Yeah, so I remember us. Listening back, we were talking about, we put our extra nerdy voices on and we talked about RAM and DRM and the rumors and how we thought, oh no, they're not going to do that, are they? They're not going to possibly do that. No, I'm definitely going to an Xbox because I don't think they'll do that. It's worrying if they did, but they're not going to do it. And as usual with our gaming predictions, boy, how wrong we were.
We're not always wrong, just some of the time.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to the whole kind of RAM and DRM rumors, though, and when it turned out to be true, I mean, what did that do to your kind of mindset at the time? We were, as I say, saying in that podcast, we're probably going to get an Xbox One, and I'll probably own both in the end. If that was the words that you.
There were the words, yeah.
Meaning you were going to get the PS4 in the end.
But I did also point out that at that time I was falling in love with my PS3 all over again. But yeah, I think if we continue to listen to them back through as the episodes march on, I think you will see a definite shift in our attitudes as this information is unveiled. When we ultimately found out that DRM was a high possibility for the Xbox. Well, it was confirmed, wasn't it, for the Xbox One until they redacted that. I think that was the major turning point for us. That and that very special game, The Last of Us on PS3 were really the determining factors for that massive shift in attitude for us.
Yeah. Although it's not in the first episode, I do remember the Xbox reveal quite vividly because you and I both sat down and watched it together around at my house, or rather at TBoD Tower 1, which we've since sold on and made into luxury apartments. We made a bomb. Thank you very much. Another thing that's never changed is our delusions that we're actually successful at this. I'll let you in behind the curtain. It's all a lie.
He saved it to our 2-year anniversary, but he decided he had to be honest with you one day.
Yeah, exactly. Or am I? Am I actually just trying to play modest so you don't ask me for lots of the piles of money that I have?
The TBoD dollar.
Exactly, the TBO dollar. That's the one. But yeah, I remember us watching that and doing a reaction cast straight after. And I remember listening back to that. And we were just clutching at straws at that stage. Both have just been like, well, that's all right, isn't it? That's okay. I can live with that. That's all right.
Talking about delusions.
Yeah, and then as the kind of weeks went on and it kind of solidified in our head and we were exposed to the vitriol on Twitter, we kind of thought, well, no, that's not all right. That's not cool.
Not kosher, Microsoft.
So you're going to, bundle this Connect with it, which, we've used before and on the 1.0 and we're like very kind of iffy about. We never really used it for anything other than playing Sesame Street. That one.
Oh, that was funny though. That was really funny.
I'm sure there's a video of that somewhere.
I think there is, yeah.
But yeah, the whole kind of you can share with up to 10 people and you can register them to borrow your games in this manner and you won't be able to trade it with you. And the whole kind of, you want backwards compatibility? Buy an Xbox 360.
They literally said that.
Yeah, literally said that. Yeah, that kind of threw the whole idea of an Xbox being, purchased by ourselves completely out the window, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think that was probably the only change in the podcast from then to now. that we're no longer Xbox fanboys.
Yeah, true. We certainly did swing violently the other way, and I think we've our barometer's gone back to the middle.
Oh yeah,
closer to the middle at least. Anyway, for me at least, this week, if we're going to bring things a little up to date, the fact that the one thing that was still bugging me about the whole Xbox kind of approach was their parity clause for indie games, which I really love. I love indie games and playing new, interesting things. The whole parity clause, it has to come out on this at least at the same time in order for you to publish on it at all. They've just relaxed that and said, if you don't have the resources, fair enough. That, for me, is such a great step forward that it makes me think I may own one of those.
It's kind of the final step in returning to what we always wanted the Xbox One to be, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and hopefully it'll get there before Halo 5. I'm going to have an excuse to buy the bastard. But yes, we had other hopes on that first podcast.
We did.
You
started with such high hopes.
I know. One of those hopes of yours was you hoped to see The Last Guardian come to the PS4 because that's why you bought a PS3.
It is.
And much like the last hope around the Xbox, that one is yet to come to fruition as well.
It is yet another hope that I have yet to have fulfilled, along with my desire to see Shenmue 3. Yeah, there are many things that I've mentioned many times on the show, but The Last Guardian has to be right up there with, the Vita in terms of times I have said those words on the show.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not on the imaginary bingo card.
It should definitely be on the imaginary bingo card.
We should have made that bingo card for this anniversary.
I could make it right now.
We could just do it now because Crinbot's never going to do it.
He's not.
No. So yeah, The Last Guardian never flourished yet. May not even be called that. We'll see how it goes. Project Trico at the minute. Hopefully it'll come out for your sake.
Yeah.
Although that said, I have got a pound riding on it, don't I?
Well, that's true, but a pound's a pound, My joy is surely worth much more.
I'd rather have the quid.
Yeah, well, that's another factor of the show, isn't it, really?
Yeah, so a swing and a miss, 0 for 2. But, there were other more fulfilled dreams.
Yeah, that's true.
You're a massive fan of JRPGs.
Oh, man, I love them. Love them.
As that rambling cast of ours showed off. By the way, our structure today is very much like our structure from the first cast, in which we've not really got one. We're very much going for free form. But you were playing Ni no Kuni at the time.
I was. Oh, what a great game.
And you promised that you would complete it and write a blog post about it.
1 for 2's not bad.
1 for 2's not bad.
I think I wrote a blog post somewhere near the middle of playing the game.
Yeah. But you didn't complete it either.
I never beat it, no.
So what was the... we've talked about this before, but it's been a while. What was the reasoning behind, leaving that... Would we say seminal?
Yeah, definitely, in terms of...
I know it's a very highly kind of acclaimed JRPG of last generation. Some would say it's the best one.
Yeah, well, I did on that show, that very show, I did say that at that point it was the best JRPG that I'd played of that console generation. And I stand by it. It's a fantastic game. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. I think... I don't know. It's a lot of times in recent years I've gotten to that point in JRPGs where it's the final grind of getting to the right level to go into the final area and face the final boss. And I don't know, I just give up. Like, I just stopped playing. I did the same thing with Tales of Vesperia, which was another fantastic game in the last generation. And it's that knowledge that it's coming to an end, I think, as much as anything. I in many ways didn't want to finish that game because I didn't want it to end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But as a result, just never played it again. And I mean, my PS3 is sitting upstairs here in TBoD Towers and ready to be played at some stage, but I just never gotten around to it, and I don't think I ever will. So there's another unfulfilled promise from me on TBoD.
I think we maybe getting our episode name sorted here. I think this one's going to be called Empty Promises. I think it suits us down to the ground. But these things happen. At the end of the day, life gets in the way. You enjoyed that game up to that point.
Absolutely.
And that can always be something that you go back to maybe in the end.
The thing is, if I was to go back to it now, it would be a case of starting again, and I'd probably do exactly the same thing
before
again.
The final boss. Yeah, and just savor it, What else did we talk about? Oh, so many things. Freemium and free to play and how they're usually done badly. In that first cast, I remember, from listening to it, I was never a big fan of the old free to play, and that's something that has actually evolved in me over the past 2 years.
I think it's a discussion that's been prevalent throughout the entire 2 years of TBoD podcasts. We've always discussed freemium games, and they've always been at the forefront of I kind of want to say fears of where gaming is headed. And I think we kind of called it right on that, because we knew from the off that was going to be something that would expand, and we were worried that it would be detrimental towards gaming as a whole. But
sure, like not friendly towards consumers in that respect, trying to milk us for everything we're worth, which for a time was happening, and to an extent still does kind of happen in the mobile space. For me personally, I really like that model. I could just say because Hearthstone, but I'm not going to. In all seriousness, I think that free to play is a really viable model, and it is the model of the future.
It's the model of the now. I mean, we talked on a previous episode of TBoD EXP about MOBAs and their nature of being free to play. And, we've talked about Team Fortress 2 in the past. And on the very first cast, we were talking about Dust 512 or 4 or whatever
514, 512. I don't know. It got a 2 out of 10 in our book. So
yeah,
And
those sort of free to play games that still have quality core gameplay have obviously proven that they can be successful. I mean, 2 years ago when we were doing this cast, MOBAs were nowhere near the size they are now, and they have grown exponentially since then.
True.
Become, as we were saying the other day, the top game type going. And is that because they're free to play? Is it for a different reason? It's kind of difficult to say at this stage, but free to play has definitely excelled now. And I mean, I've been playing a bit of Arcade lately, which is a Korean free to play MMO, and it's really, really well executed in that game. I'm still more lean towards the purchase a game and play the game, or the subscription model for MMORPGs in particular, but I definitely think free to play, that is something that has changed massively in me. My attitude towards free to play games as a whole is much more accepting now than it was in that first cast.
So, yeah, same here. Like, as I was just saying, for developers, I think developers have matured and kind of got a hang on what free to play is all about, and certainly have realized that you can't just rip the gamer off because they'll flat out just not play your game,
Yeah, well, apart from Candy Crush Saga and all of that shite.
Sure. Candy Crush Saga could be a whole podcast about that. But I think that if it's applied correctly, which a lot of people are getting the hang of it, it is totally a great way of doing it. People can play that game for free if they want, but if you make a good enough product, people will be willing to give you money for it. It's similar to kind of that kind of Patreon bubble that we've got at the minute, which pays content creators by their episodes if you want, or Kickstarter, pay this person being able to make their game for you to have later down the line. It works in a similar fashion. It's like, well, actually, you know what? I think I will pay a bit to get something extra in the game and give the developers some money to continue making a game I like.
It's like saying, I like what you do, here's some support.
Exactly, yeah, exactly right. So, I think free-to-play and freemium games have certainly come a long way since since we started this. Yeah. I mean, what else? What else did we talk about in that podcast? In fact, we've got a special guest, just walk in right now. He can stick his head in a minute, and we might even get a mic knocked up. We were just talking about, for everybody who's on the stream, by the way, Crinbot's just come in. He's had some beers, so he's going to lay down the law in a bit. But yes, free-to-play games, great crack nowadays. And I think I'm going to be playing a lot more of these type of games in the future. What else did we talk about? Here we go. This is something that's not changed. Elder Scrolls Online. Not yet on consoles.
Yeah,
it was coming to PC at the time.
We were all talking about getting it on our new consoles, whatever they may have been at the time, and how we were looking forward to playing it. And now we're probably not going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, such a shame. Like, you especially were a big
absolutely.
kind of Elder Scrolls fan. And you managed to... I remember on that show, they were doing the beta testing. And you were like, I probably won't get on that beta. I'd love to, but I probably won't. And you actually did.
I did, yeah, in the end.
Pretty good, yeah, balling. But, I mean, what was it that put you off that game?
A myriad of things, really. I always thought of Skyrim and Oblivion and stuff, that they would be great as multiplayer games, but when it actually came to the crunch and you got into that world and there were so many other heroes there, doing this exact same quest as you, it kind of detracted from that experience of Elder Scrolls. You didn't feel like you were on a solo adventure in the way that you did then. I mean, possibly that's due to the fact that I was on the beta and there was only one server and it was absolutely rammed full of people because they were stress testing it at the time. And that could definitely have been a factor, but I don't know. It was difficult for them to do it because the nature of an MMO is different to the nature of a skill-based action RPG like Skyrim, so it became a different creature entirely, and that wasn't what I wanted. But I don't know. It's coming out. We're still waiting for it to come out on console, and when it does, maybe it'll be better. But we'll do the old TBoD saying, for the first time on the anniversary special, I'm going to say, wait and see.
We will. Do you think that their move to make it free to play, rather remove subscription,
yeah,
is a good one?
I think it's a generous one, but again, it depends how they execute the free to play nature of it and the in-app purchases, what they entail exactly, and how much content you get access to without subscribing.
Good.
Succinct.
Sorry, I was answering someone in the stream. Skunky's here. Hello.
Hi, Tara.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've always liked a multiplayer game. And one of the things about Skyrim was the fact that it just had so much to it, and I was having to do it on my own. Crinbot's here, by the way. I think we might share mics for the time being.
Hello.
So anyway, now he's gone. I'll talk to you about ESO. We're just totally making this up as we go, by the way. We just decided to roll.
Classic TBoD.
Yeah, as usual.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with ESO, I was just saying that it was something that had so much promise for me as someone who would like to get into those kind of Elder Scrolls game, but I was always a bit put off by the fact that I'd had to play it on my own. I was all about the multiplayer at the time.
I think it's kind of a blessing and a curse, really, because, from my point of view anyway, I was a little bit scared by it because of previous experiences on WoW. On the one hand, I'm kind of glad that it didn't take off and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But on the other hand, I'm kind of sad about it as well because it did have a lot of potential. So,
Yeah. I mean, if any series is going to have as good a lore as World of Warcraft, it's certainly going to be the Elder Scrolls series. It just seems a bit of a shame that I know that Eremenko had said previously on a podcast that he felt the world to be a little bit sparse and barren. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, really. Hello everybody, welcome back to the TBoD 2-year anniversary special. It's our birthday today, and I'm drinking water to celebrate.
Me too. Woo!
Get in, fucking
I'm
water
drunk.
buddies. And Crinbot, in true Drunken Halo fashion, is drunk.
Oh shit! I've got red wine upstairs.
You go get the red
BRB.
wine. So here's Crinbot. He's just going to go get some red wine. In the meantime, we shall continue. So, yes, on that very first cast, we also discussed the wonderful game that is Journey, and just how much we like that game. I think I said it was probably the best game I'd played in recent times, and you said it was high praise, especially from me who just plays shooters.
At the time, just played shooters.
Yeah, it was. I think that for me, Journey had an emotional resonance that I'd not experienced in games before. I was very much about me multiplayer shooters. Nowadays, I couldn't tell you the last time I played a multiplayer shooter, probably Destiny. And that's not been for a good... I've not played a first-person shooter in 6 months. I think that Journey is partially responsible for that.
Changed your outlook on gaming forever.
Well, I think that it showed me what is possible, in gaming, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that kind of 30 seconds of fun, or that kind of kill reward system. You can achieve a lot more with them, and I think it made me seek out more experiences like that and be more interested in just finding games which touched on different human emotions rather than just purely the kind of eyeballs dry because you haven't blinked in 10 hours kind of hardcore bloody, super concentrated, super twitch shooter, So I think that's what, Journey did for me at the time, and I could still say, I'm glad that this is streaming as well on video. I'm glad this is going on YouTube.
Sacrifices that we go through.
At the time, I said it was one of the best things I've ever played, and I will stand by that statement today. Excellent game.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I mean, we were recording an Extra Points episode just a few moments ago, and we were talking about it then. It's one of those games that's going to stay with us, I think, for a long, long time. Unlike, your myriads of carbon copy shooters, we won't necessarily be able to distinguish one from the other in 10 years' time, but Journey will always be something that we remember. I think it deserves all the praise that it got in every single way. So
I contrast your opinions.
absolutely.
Of course you can. That's what you're here for. You're the color commentator.
Yeah, I think
I don't mean that in a racist way either.
the coloured commentary.
No, don't. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
I'm not your shield.
I didn't feel the same about it as you guys, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, so people who have listened before will know that I wasn't as much of a fan as you guys were. I kind of liked it, but it wasn't to me the most amazing game I've ever played. So yeah, other opinions are available.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are,
may
yes,
not-
and
may
always
not
on
be
this
right.
podcast. I think, and again, we discussed this on previous shows. I think the fact that you played it offline could have played an element of that in, because part of it is that kind of the kind of mystery of having someone you can't speak to in any way, shape, or form. An anonymous kind of partner throughout of it who helps you do this and that, and it feels more like a shared experience. without actually ever really interacting with them
Yeah.
in real life. I imagine it would be a little bit more. I would not really sparse. I would still think the experience could be there, but um, I think that is lacking one of the big elements in it.
Was a
not-
key. It was a
not to
key
be
feature.
Yeah,
too-
I love the atmosphere of it, but I didn't connect with it as much as you guys did.
Mhm.
I think that's probably the best way of putting it.
Anybody who hasn't should check out Balbod's Journey animation.
We shall
YouTube.
put a link down here. I'm sure that will appear in the YouTube video
and
Don't
on the
worry,
description of the
I'll do it,
podcast.
I'll do it. So yeah, go check that out. It nails the whole kind of emotion and sentiment of Journey. And I suppose that brings us on to The Walking Dead. That had also come out.
Yeah, it had. Well,
Had it finished?
I don't think it had.
It was halfway through, I think.
It was quite early on. I think I was still playing it on the Xbox 360 at that point. I don't think I'd started playing it on PC, which I obviously did when it was in the Steam sale and just bought the whole lot together.
Yeah,
Sat
for
and
like
played through the whole thing.
£3.
Yeah. It's another one, isn't it? That it divides some people, but for me, it won awards and stuff. It was one of the best games of the time, and it totally kickstarted that episodic content thing, which we have an XP episode coming up about. It's just a real different experience, and if you're a fan of the Walking Dead series, the comics, the zombie genre in general, it's an absolute must play.
Yeah, I think looking back on that, 2 years ago, and we've played Journey and we've played Walking Dead. Like, those are two games which all kind of go for that, pull of the old heartstrings, and I think for me, that's where it all kind of started, when people really started to see, oh well, hang on, there are other things you can do in games to affect people. It's not, as I say, it's not all about just being the ultra violent, ultra macho protagonist anymore. It's about experiencing different
Do you think
situations.
in some ways that doing a podcast led you to seek out these new experiences? Obviously gaming has always had a wide variety of experiences there available. Admittedly, that was the Journey and the Walking Dead sort of thing were the start of their ilk of games, but I definitely think that there was already these new and fresh experiences to be had, and I think maybe the podcast and the blog and stuff was where you started to get interested in that.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that to a degree. I think the podcast certainly made me more aware of what was being covered in the gaming media.
Yeah.
And as a result, more aware of these games, and as a result, wanted to play them. Whereas before, I didn't really follow it unless it was, unless it was a Halo, basically. Yeah, so it did open me to more varied experiences because I was so conscious of trying to read up on what's going on in the gaming space, and seeing someone say, "Oh, this is cool, try this," and being like, "All right, that's not something I've played before. Give it a bash. Wow, that's class." And then whenever something similar would come along, I would then be like, "Right, yeah, I like that type of game. This is similar. Let's give it a go." All right, okay, so I'm not shooting people. That's fine for me now. let's give it a go. Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that played any role with you? I know you've had you played a larger variety of games than me. Before we even started the cast, you'd try anything.
Yeah, well, I've always
Both
been
in
a big
gaming
gamer.
and in life.
Well, hey, I will try anything, except for
Fight.
fish. I hate fish. No, I do think that doing the podcast and doing the blog and stuff made me look at gaming in a slightly different light. In the past I would just pick up a game and play it just for the hell of it, and it definitely changed the way that I analyze games and the things that I take away from them. I won't necessarily judge a game by its cover as much as I used to, so to speak. You know, I won't throw something away just because it doesn't have a style that I appreciate. I definitely look for a wider variety in games and stuff now as well. I want to try and find, like, in the past I was like RPGs and real-time strategies and shooters. Now I'm just like, well, this little indie gem looks cool. I'll give that a go. Something like, you know, exploration games, something like Dear Esther or something. In the past, I would never have picked something like that up, but I have now and played it and enjoyed it. As a result of that, I ended up playing Ether 1, which was another game that I absolutely loved. Those sorts of experiences are what I've sort of developed into enjoying because of the podcast, definitely.
Yeah, so I guess this kind of moves well nicely into kind of what we've gained from it, and I think we've gained a appreciation of a wider variety of games. I don't know what you think about the whole thing, Crinbot. I mean, you joined us a little later on the old podcast front, around about the episode 40s, I think, 30s or 40s.
Okay.
Sounds right. Since doing this podcast, what do you think you've learned from it or gained, or how's it kind of benefited you or just taught you something about yourself, whether it be gaming habits or anything else? Is there anything you've particularly, anything particularly changed about how you think about things since doing this?
I think the first thing that comes into my mind, and this is going to sound a little bit negative.
That's okay. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, true. Negativity, negativity in music. Yeah, but it made me realize that I wasn't as into gaming as I thought I was.
Okay.
Which is interesting because I always thought I was really into gaming.
Do you think that's?
I think that might be because it's a contrast between you two.
Yeah.
Because you two are hugely into gaming, whereas I'm not.
Sure. So you weren't as exposed to our obsession with games.
Yeah.
Before you joined us on it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but like, and in saying that, it's not to do myself or my experiences a disservice because I've played a lot of video games from when I was very young, and it's always been a part of my life. But it's never been the be all and end all. Not the be all and end all, but you know what I mean. It's never been.
It's never taken up a huge, as large a chunk.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think that's probably one of the main reasons for that is because of the amount of time I spent playing hockey when I was younger, because I didn't really have time to play video games at that point, and I kind of don't as much now either. But yeah,
I hear you.
I think yeah, I think that's one of the main things it taught me. But it also taught me to appreciate, like eremenko was saying, different types of games and different experiences in games as well.
Yeah. Do you think, although that you've had it's shown you that maybe you're not the maddest person when it comes to loving games wholly and
universally,
yeah, it's shown you what genre you do like, but also exposed you a bit to trying new things as well?
Yeah, potentially, yeah. But it also made me understand how much of a narrow field I had for games, and also how simple I like my gaming experiences to be.
Yeah,
like the how much I love the COD single player, for example.
Yeah.
Like I just fucking love blasting through that and like having fun and like not necessarily thinking about it too much. But then I also love the kind of cerebral element of RPGs as well. So yeah, I don't think it's really solidified anything in my mind. Only that I like different things.
Good.
Well, I also like playing music. That's another thing that's taught me.
Good. Yeah, we always knew that
anyway.
already. You've always been our
whipping it out at parties. My
That-
guitar, that is.
yeah. I was gonna say that
Unless you're
usually
talking
comes
about,
after the guitar playing.
unless you're
right,
talking
ladies, I've played the guitar really
you
well.
reckon?
What do you reckon?
yeah,
Good. I'm gonna whip it out.
yeah.
See how we go.
How
Yeah.
does this measure up now?
Okay,
A little on the thin side, I'll be honest.
It's all right. Compare it. Just don't compare it to the arm on my guitar.
Yeah.
All right. You're setting yourself up for some unrealistic expectations
Yeah.
there.
My fingering technique is great though.
Hey.
Oosh.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm here all week.
I think one of the things I've actually learned from doing this podcast is more practical stuff when it comes to audio.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah,
And just
that.
learning new skills, like internet style skills. Like, before, when we first started, that first podcast was done with, if I can reach it,
This
and we
bad
still
boy.
use this, but we've got this blue snowball here. Essentially, what this taught me, this blue snowball microphone, is to read the description more thoroughly when buying a microphone, because I thought I was buying a blue snowball Yeti, which is an omnidirectional mic, which was basically the idea I could plonk it in the middle of the table. We could have like a round table discussion. Instead, I bought this blue snowball ice. I thought it was a Yeti. In fact, it was an ice. Because it was cheaper, I thought, oh, I'm getting a good deal on this Yeti. Turns out, because this one's a cardioid microphone, for all of you guys that don't know what that means, basically, it has like a cone of audio. It's not omnidirectional. It doesn't come out of the back, despite the look that it does.
Go into the back.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
So I haven't learned that much about audio. But, that kind of limited us to all kind of sit in a row when we were doing it. So that certainly taught me to at least kind of look out for that kind of stuff. And then it taught me to look into microphones a little bit more, and then eventually settle on just using Rock Band mics for our setup, because they're obviously the best value for money you can get.
Speaking of Rock Band,
I know.
Rock Band 4.
Bitches.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be doing a live stream of that when that comes out.
Yes.
Oosh. And just to give you a little peek behind the curtain, we do a private event which we don't stream called Pass the Controller, where every month our mates get together and we play some co-op games. Rock Band is on the list.
Fuck yes.
It's gonna happen.
I'll definitely attend that one.
There's a game called Amplitude as well, which they've just released, which is like the first ever kind of rhythm game that they did.
Okay.
They've just remastered it. I thought
Sweet.
we could try that and then go into Rock Band. So that for
Yeah, that's
starters,
fine by
Rock
me,
Band
yeah.
for mains. But yeah, back to the kind of skills. Like it just taught me to research these things more, look into using better audio programs. And eventually we settled on Sonar.
And buying them
But yeah, purchasing these things because
through official channels.
Yeah. And then, getting interested in, well, can we put it on a video? Could we live stream it? And just I just really feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge, but also a lot of enjoyment about just testing these things out and experimenting, I think, for me, I've never been a very creative person. I think I drew one good thing in my whole life. It took
One more good thing than me.
It took a lot of effort, and I was never able to do that again with any kind of speed or accuracy. I really struggle with that kind of thing. I've never been musically inclined. You've heard me sing many times on the beginnings of these shows, people, and
Wonderfully.
I'm not the best at singing. I learned guitar briefly and was very bad at it. And I've never really felt as creative as I have, like, more kind of logical about stuff. But then when we started doing the blog, I'm quite good with words, I guess. So, that kind of got me going. And then when we started doing the podcast, that's when things kind of really started to roll. And I felt, well, actually, I am doing something creative and something that I feel like I'm all right at. Dare I say, above average at doing, whether it be presenting this show or putting together the edit when I used to do it, when I had the time to, or, just coming up with ideas or discussion points. I think it's made me feel like I am a creative person where I used to think I wasn't.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I don't know how you feel, eremenko, but
I also can't drink water. Apparently, I've had nothing to drink.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about this, eremenko, but I feel like when you're here, Quim. I haven't called you Quim for so long. When you're here, we are much more dynamic when putting the songs together. Like, you bring like an extra element of kind of insight
Dirty
into
humor.
Well, not necessarily that. Just
Abhorrent
it's
humor.
like left field kind of thinking for the words. Like me and eremenko will be struggling to kind of come up with like a verse or the end of a verse or the start of a verse, and then you'll come in and just be like, what about this? And then we're just like, yes, that's perfect. And then we kind of make like a verse and a chorus from that, you know. So
Yeah.
I've always felt like I've never been particularly good with words, like lyrically and being able to do that kind of thing. But like having
Have you? I'm sorry.
here,
Have you heard Nintendo Don't Cry?
that wasn't me.
Genius.
Did you not do the first verse?
Yeah, I might have done that.
That's a good verse. The whole thing is good.
Yeah.
First verse definitely the best.
Yeah. Like I have flashes every now and then. Yeah, fine. But like when we all get together, that's when the creative stuff like really happens, and that's something that I fucking love doing. Like regardless of what it is that it's being produced for, like that kind of collaboration, the music collaboration is something that I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
But
That
like
is the fun bit.
It is a lot of
specifically,
fun.
but what you were saying there, like I feel like you bring a lot to that. So it's interesting that you say you've never really felt like creative before,
Yeah.
because
It's
that's
just
like
something
the
that's
opposite to what I think.
well. Cheers, pal.
You're a wordsmith, Quim.
Well, I like. Don't get me wrong. I think I
That from
do
Harry
have good
Potter?
ideas. I like that.
You're a wordsmith, Quim. That was my
Oh,
Dumbledore.
fucking
It was
hell.
brilliant.
Get out the sorting hat. I like. Don't get me wrong. I think I feel like I do come up with a lot of ideas. I just feel like I lack the skills to execute them, and I have. I mean, you guys execute them a much better way than if it was just me on my own. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's
I-
like
you
the
know,
whole point about it being a collaboration, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
but even if I was like, oh, I've got this idea. like, have you got any ideas on how we can make that happen? You guys tend to be able to execute it a lot better. Like, for example, with the recent videos we've done, your kind of animation idea that you came up with and animated was like something that would take me a considerable amount of time to work out. And I know you've had, advice from an animator.
Well, I had it animated for us.
Well,
essentially.
yeah, but you did you've done the Photoshop graphics for our
Yeah,
videos,
yeah.
and things that like artistically I wouldn't be able to do, if you know what I mean. I feel like I throw some ideas out and you guys enable them in a better fashion than if I was to just try and fucking cobble it together. It would take me like 4 weeks to come up with something that you would do way better version of in an hour.
Like the way this conversation is going, I feel like we're just gonna sack the cast off and just blow each other.
That was my
It's
whole
become a
plan.
loving-
Again, I'm the ideas man. Yeah, I'm just
I'm
planting
just putting
seeds.
out ideas.
Planting seeds quite
Whatever
literally.
happens, happens.
Well, I've got nothing better to do with my Friday night, so hey.
I'll see what's going on Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah. Has anyone got anything else to add on that subject? Anything else you feel like you've gained from this roller coaster of a podcast?
I think he surmised it pretty well. Like, obviously learning Photoshop and Vegas skills and stuff like that, editing videos and
Which
being
we're
able
always
to-
learning at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
We're always getting better.
don't get me wrong. I think we do well, but I think that we're still rough at it.
We've got a
Baby
long way
steps,
to
but-
go.
Yeah, I think it's going well though.
Another thing I feel like I've gained is a lot of new friends.
Yeah, actually, it's a good point. Like who?
Oh, I don't know. We might just happen to have a list here of shout outs that we've done over the years.
If I was active on Twitter, then maybe I would feel like that too. But I'm sorry for anybody who follows me on Twitter. Like, I don't do anything.
See, sometimes I like it when people that I follow on Twitter don't do anything, because then my feed isn't as jammed up as it normally is.
That's the thing. Like, I used to be on Twitter like all the time, and my feed just got like rammed. So I would be spending like 20 minutes like looking through my feed, and then by the end of the 20 minutes, I'd have another 20 minutes.
Yeah,
to do, and I'm
exactly.
just like, I
It's a
can't do
nightmare.
this.
You just can't keep up with it.
Are we doing this now, or do we want to do favourite moments? Do you want to do favourite moments first or after?
We can do favorite moments now.
Do we, or should
Professional?
we make this?
Well,
Well,
let's
come on.
do our shout out list.
Yeah, because
Alright.
that'll give me time to think of a favorite moment.
So we're starting with some new people who've recently started following us and
So we're going to do
commenting on
1 and
things.
3. Sorry again. I'm sorry to talk over you there, pal. We're usually very good at this.
Yeah, I know. We've been doing it long enough.
All right, sweet. So
So I'll start.
you start.
New follower on Twitter, Katie Stubbs.
Conscious gaming.
The TBoD hards are our once thriving clan in Destiny.
The Panda Lion.
Marie. Oh yeah, Marie.
That's right. Geordie Geek.
Leafy.
There we go.
Ravage Systems.
MMO buffs.
Jeff Dude 02.
Worth 12.
Destiny author.
Sky Products 1002. It's a real person. It's not. That wasn't one of the spam accounts. We didn't look at the spam.
No, we didn't. Bob the Beard Mason.
Ice Bear.
Steamboat Lely.
Retro Joe.
I like that name. Steamboat Lily. Time is Rudy.
The Senin Gamer.
McLovin 832.
Skinner number 1.
Kyle Levy.
Eddie Steak.
Anthony Clegg 198.
Fuster UK.
Scotty G.
MG Metro 77.
Cutmaster C.
Spacker Attacker.
Bad Motherlicker.
That's one of our pals, by the way. He's like, oh, you didn't say that in the voice. This is Reclaw.
Papa Bear Curtain.
Mr. Brutastic, who I've been out with
felt
tonight.
well, didn't it?
It
That
did,
felt
yeah.
I've
well.
been out with Mr.
Convenient.
Brutastic tonight.
You know, call me Mr. Brutastic.
He totally stole that name off me, by the way.
Yeah.
We know.
It was-
You've said it on every cast where you've had a
Okay.
drink. It's like, I stole that
He's
name.
fucking
Name stealer.
marriage and happiness.
Brady Markovich, thank you.
Sam Earl 13.
Death of a Nation. That sounds sad.
It is not as sad as XX Razor Girl XX.
You know,
I think she's happy.
that's like an emo name.
Eagle Man.
Carl Weller, Paul's brother.
Yeah. Collins M81. That's our pal Collins. He's on the road M81. Stuck there.
HMV Newcastle.
Like Spike TV.
Virtua Me.
X-Buds.
David McGinley.
Super Sugoi.
Johnny Shortcut.
X Limits Blacks.
Old Git Gamers.
And David Ayala, who was our 200th follower.
And in fact, he's our 50th shout out. There you go.
There you go. J. Tustin, 86.
Starseed.
Miss Toxic.
Damzilla.
Brentendo.
And just generally all of the minimum requirements crew.
All right.
Lissa 290.
Hoganator 420.
Insane Cakes. Looking at you, Clem.
Dustin Echoes.
That's right. That's Mr. Tomsk and the Wolf there.
Halo fan for life.
Cartoon Robinson.
Balbod, the animator of our fine video.
Andrew Gagnon.
Oh, and by the way, Ganyan, I'll definitely be in touch about visiting, by the way, just so you know.
And while you're at it, you can visit
Lead Trousers.
and Connor Gagnon.
Oh, did I miss one?
And Mrs. Gagnon.
Oh, shit, it's me. Whack.
Mrs. Walk. Wow, we're stretching these out.
Rabowski.
Skillaxed.
And in fact, all of PGCR.
The Halo Array.
Spyman W and all the 8-bit beaters.
Douglas Quaid, aka Bing.
Simbo Sonic.
Kipper Catfish.
Northeast Media and Gaming.
Day and Nightly.
Ash J. Wilton.
Skunky, aka Tara, if you're watching, very special thank you to you.
Pete Bottomley of White Paper Games.
That Gunslinger. You know that one.
We do. We all know that one. Panditty.
Murders Media.
Curabell.
Quorn.
Warren.
Nevin Douglas.
Justin and Travis, Bryce.
That's right. From Drunken Halo, big shout out to them.
Yeah, hey
because
guys, how's it going?
The reason my blog exists is because I decided to do something on the internet rather than just listen to it. So cheers, lads.
Was
So-
it before or after you were guested on their show that you started the blog?
After.
After.
Yeah.
You did do something on the
Well, yeah,
internet,
but that. Yeah, I was one of the contributing factors. I've talked about it before, but yeah, big shout out to all of you guys there that have contributed. I know there've been a few. We didn't get Crim, but we'll edit that out. Crinbot's patented Tinder shout outs.
I can do some right now if you
Yeah,
want.
fuck it. Let's throw some Tinder shout outs on the fucking go here. We'll drink water. You get amongst it.
So
Swipe right.
I deleted Tinder and then reinstalled it recently.
I tried to get out and they pulled me back in. They swiped right to get me back in.
So I just want to shout out Rose, Steph, Laura, and Christy.
Shout out to you,
Christy's
ladies.
a doctor, actually.
Yeah, was that the judo one?
Nah,
Who was that?
I didn't match her.
Oh.
Sad face.
What, she swiped left for you. You need to get another action shot in.
You don't know that.
She didn't match.
Not yet.
Not yeah, that's a good point. It's not instant, is it?
Nope.
Well, okay. So big shout out to yous. Yeah. So I mean, we've had a lot of people kind of interact with us over the last 2 years. That is most of them. There was a few that we didn't manage to get in there purely because they were off the cuff shout outs. But all the followers. We got 628 of the bad lads. So shout out to yous on Twitter. Thank you very much for following us and interacting in whatever small way you have. Shout out to those who've come on the show. I mean, those have been some of my favourite moments.
For me, one of my favourite moments is a drunken teabag.
Yeah, okay, so let's do it. We're going to go with our favourite moments of the podcast. You can start. You said drunken teabag. What was so special about that episode? I agree, by the way.
It was loads of fun, and I'm not sure. I think it was a combination of the show itself and then the night out that followed.
Oh, what a night out that was.
Yeah.
Fuck. Putting the drunken in that tea bag.
Yeah,
Jesus.
definitely, yeah. Was that the night that Leafy and a few others showed up?
Apparently.
Yeah, that was that night. Yeah. I forgot about that.
I still didn't realise he had a mustache.
That was. He doesn't anymore. He has a
All
beard now.
Okay.
Hi,
Leafy.
Leafy.
We've met before, so
Yeah.
I've been told.
And you were overbearing. You were
That's
drunk, overbearing Quim.
just like Tinder shout outs are your patented thing. I am overbearing when drunk. That's my thing. Or indeed not drunk.
Yeah, so I think the show itself was really like well devised and laid out. So like props to you for that.
I think the song was class. I met
What?
him in a UNSC
yeah.
training camp.
Oh,
where
God,
he
yeah.
shoots covey targets and drives scorpion tanks on the
That was
halo.
a eremenko Crinbot collaboration. That
It
first
was.
line, wasn't
Rock on.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah. So that whole kind of the cast, and then what did you just whistle there?
And I'm sure I did the second line. Sorry.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, it
The
was
rest
a
of it was
TBoD
you guys, though.
collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the show, which was really well laid out and lots of fun.
Sorry, that was such a dick move.
And then the night out afterwards as well. And those two guys are really cool. So yeah, I had a really good night, like all in all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. I think that's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, it was. It was so much fun. Like, and just the very fact that we got to meet those people was just epic. And here's to many more. Hopefully, we get to meet loads more people that we've got on that shout out list that we just put out there right now. Unless any of them are nuts, in which case.
Yeah, keep your distance, all
Don't
right?
meet them.
We've got guard dogs. No, I would agree. That drunken teabag episode was a lot of fun to make, or a lot of fun to participate in. I'll let you take it.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of massive highlights for me. There's one song in particular that we did that it was something that we worked on a lot before we got TBoD Towers 3. when we were still recording at TBoD Towers 2 in the car on the way back, on our way home to our various homes.
Various luxury apartments.
We were singing this song quite a lot, and it was something that we worked on quite a bit. And I think it shows in the fact that it's probably our most complete song. And I, to this day, cannot listen to Macklemore featuring Ryan Lewis without singing "I'm Gonna Hunt Mud Crabs," because that song, I just fucking love it. It's my absolute favorite one.
I'm gonna kill mud crabs, but you kept saying hunt mud crabs.
Yeah, see, I still can't get it right. And the other highlight is the Christmas show that we did just at Christmas this year. Our reimagining of a Charles Dickens classic was just so much fun to record. And then listening to it back, I relive that fun every time I hear any section of it. It was just, I had an absolute hoot with it. I used to be into performing arts at school and stuff, and I just had so much fun doing that. It was just class.
Yeah, Spacker Attacker's voice for Mrs. Cratchit was a particular highlight in that for me.
Yeah.
The most fun to participate in, I would say, Drunken Teabag. The best podcast we've ever made, I would say, would be the last Christmas special. I don't know how we're going to top it this year, to be honest. We will, though.
Orgy.
For me, I'll
put the word out on Tinder.
A bit of a cheat here, but I'm going to say two of my favourite moments were getting both Tara and Pete from Punk Labs and White Paper Games, respectively, come on our show. I just thought that was great. For starters, with Tara, to find out that she made Rocket Dock, which was something I used, and I really loved Rocket Dock. I loved it. And then the fact that she had a hand along with Aaron Polyvector.
Right.
They made the kind of the shinies for the forest, and for her to be kind enough to come on our show and just be so sound. And
I was going to say, just be a generally awesome all-around person.
And answer some questions about, give us a little peek behind how these things actually work. Being, just guys who play games, to have someone who helps make games talk to us and participate in the whole show is just a kind of joy. And the same thing goes for Pete.
Yeah. It felt like a real step for us, didn't it, getting those two people on the show?
Yeah, definitely. And not just in a kind of, we've got a developer on the show kind of way, but as a kind of window into how these things actually get made, these things we love so much, and how the creative thought processes or the technical processes behind them work. I mean, with Pete, because the subject matter of the game Ether One, tackling the subject of dementia, is such a kind of it's something that everybody, 1 in 3 is affected by, and so there's quite a broad audience that people can identify with.
A broad audience,
yeah,
I'd say.
Indeed, yes. That's copyright TBoD 2015. Just to get to speak to him about why they decided to make this game and how it evolved to be the central theme, and to share, our own kind of experiences with dementia, and then for him to just kind of have a crack on the show as well.
Yeah.
They were both I really enjoyed those moments particularly.
And big shout out to White Paper Games for announcing recently that they're getting a big release on PS4. Congrats for that,
it was
guys.
coming to PS4, but they're getting a physical disc. So they're getting a pressed physical disc. I'll be buying that straight away.
For sure, me too.
I'll play that game again and hopefully be able to beat some of the fucking puzzles.
Mind-bendingly difficult.
I hope
puzzles.
you put a hint system in, lads. But no, those are two really special moments. I've got one more.
I do too.
Right, okay. I'm going to keep mine.
I don't.
You don't? Fine.
My last one is a very recent thing that we did, playing Oculus Rift with Sean from CodeSync, bringing along that Oculus Rift. That thing is just amazing. Like we'd experienced it once before at Eurogamer playing Surgeon Simulator, but to actually play in some of those environments and to see the Oculus doing some of the things that it does best was just pure class. So thanks for that, mate.
I really enjoyed the motion sickness.
Yeah, you had to have a lie down on the floor.
I did. I felt fucking rough.
Get in.
Really fucking
Well,
rough.
when we played it at Eurogamer, I was more hungover than I've ever been in my entire life. So that plus the motion sickness was not pleasant.
In fact, I feel a little bit sick now just remembering it.
I didn't get any motion
It
sickness
genuinely
in either
did.
time. Like, I don't know.
All right, fucking Uber male. Sorry that I'm not manly enough.
Yeah, well, apology accepted.
Sat with my legs
go
crossed
make
here.
me a sandwich, bitch. Okay, so I've got one more. We have to cast our minds back a little bit. I know I think you guessed it on this one, Crinbot.
Ooh.
You were there too, as was Cartoon Robinson, as was Nevin Douglas. And this would be part 2, not part 1. Not got a patch on part 2. Part 2. Part 2 of our Last of Us spoiler cast was an early highlight for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Skype one, wasn't it?
It was. It was one of the few Skype episodes we've done. And the reason that I liked that one so much, partly because that game is amazing. You know, we've waxed lyrical about The Last of Us so many times on this podcast, so we're not going to do that now. But we are going to wax lyrical about this podcast that we did on it, because it was such an in-depth and interesting conversation to have with all of those people, and all of us together sharing our differing views on how we viewed Joel, how we thought, you know, we had different highlights and certain interactions within that game, and to get that kind of refreshing perspective from each person who all generally felt the same but brought something to the table that the others hadn't picked up on or hadn't thought about in that way. It gave me a lot of an even deeper understanding of an already quite profound game. So for me, that was a really, really like good, productive kind of eye-opening discussion about the best game of that generation and possibly this one. It was that was a real treat to take part in that discussion and have people who were a lot more well-versed than me kind of fill me with some more analytical kind of views about that game.
And it's just always a pleasure listening to Nevin speak. So
yeah, exactly. That man has a voice for radio. Definitely, if he starts up a talk show on whatever Canadian radio channels exist over there, I'm going to buy myself a trip to Canada just so I can listen to him and be his groupie outside.
Whereabouts in Canada is Nevin from?
Toronto, I believe.
A bit far west for me to go when I go on my little trip next year. This year?
This year, it's September,
Woo!
isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We have a Canadian correspondent.
Yeah.
We want to see some video diaries. You and Gagnon and that playing hockey.
Yeah.
And you absolutely body checking him. Just kidding, Gagnon.
Do you know what it is, Gagnon? Like, I am really fucking good at hockey. I like genuinely am. Like, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but toot fucking toot. Because I am fucking mint.
Well, I would argue in Gagnon's favour that ice hockey is Canada's national sport, but apparently it's not. Lacrosse.
They're not curling.
I don't know. Maybe it is. I've been told lacrosse is their national sport.
Well, I mean, officially maybe, but hockey.
It's a big nation.
The national sport. Definitely. How about them Habs though?
Hey.
Tank Nation is on with the Leafs as well. McDavid is going to the Leafs.
With those words,
right, motherfuckers.
Connor McDavid, it will be a Leaf next year.
There you go, Andrew. You heard it here at some stage.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
necessarily
You knew that already.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So, I suppose the last thing to touch on briefly would be, I guess, our kind of plans for what we're going to do with this podcast in the future.
Oh, and before we move on to that, Phil Kessler's mint, and I fucking love him.
You're a hockey player.
Yeah, me and Ganyan had a chat about it on Facebook a couple of weeks ago.
Why don't you do a hockey cast, dude? And I don't mean that as in like shut the fuck up. while we do this podcast. But genuinely, you can do a TBoD hockey cast.
But also,
You and
So-
Gagnon, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, but also,
I listen to that.
Come on, I even
What
didn't even
you
point out
fucking
that
you
signal.
fucking invited me on this show when I was drunk. You knew what you were getting.
I thought you might just pass out.
You know how
in the
boisterous
corner.
I get when I'm
I
drunk.
thought you'd have spent more time on Tinder, if I'm honest.
I got bored of it.
But yeah, I mean, obviously Phil Kessler is the boy, but
Kessel.
no, it's Kessler.
No, that's Ryan Kessler who plays for Anaheim.
He made the
Second.
Kessler
Oh,
run
sorry,
in
yeah.
12 parsecs.
It's
It's
actually Kessel run.
Oh, it is.
Oh my god. Where was I?
One last final point to touch on before we
The
finish.
future.
Yes, the future.
Future,
What
yes,
does the
that's it.
future hold?
Who can say? Anybody who says they can say is lying.
That is true. Except for Mystic Meg, she genuinely was clever.
And that John guy, John, what's his face?
Gravel.
You know, from the place.
John from the place. Oh,
John,
yeah,
what's his
the
name?
Big John.
ghost of John.
Yeah,
Big
big
John.
big black John, big black shadow John. He wasn't black, he was
No.
white.
Good.
Most probably.
Good. Thanks for clarifying. Just before we
You
really
knew-
dig a hole
You
there.
knew what you were getting yourself in for.
Well, yeah, I did. That's why we brought you on.
Entertainment.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing in the future anyway, we've already started doing our little kind of breakout TBoD EXPs just because we can record those in like little bits and release them over the course of a month. These normal podcasts are going to be monthly for this foreseeable future just because I need to spend more time with the family. I like to spend time at the weekend just chilling with my son. So if I was to do them weekly, I'm losing hours with him, to be honest, and I don't want to do that. Hence, that's why you'll be getting these less regular. But we are going to be trying to cover, more 1 or 2 topics per month on the main podcast, and there'll be in-depth kind of analytical discussions, similar to the kind of VR cast you had last month. That's what we'll be doing going forward in the main one. And then have these kind of weekly little 20-minute breakouts about single subjects, which will come out on YouTube and iTunes, etc. As far as other plans, I think we want to do some Let's Plays.
Yeah,
Is
we're
that
going
right?
to try and develop more video content. Obviously, you can see that the XPs are coming out on YouTube. We're trying to broaden the content that we put out there. So we'd love it if you guys would check us out and watch some of our gameplay sessions and, just tell us generally how shit we are at doing it. We've been playing Don't Starve lately. We're going to pick up some more games and try and do some more co-op stuff. We want to try and get guests on the show again generally. So
Oh, we will be getting guests on for sure. I mean, that's a big plan for the main cast at the very least. But yeah, I mean, we do want to just kind of do more streaming because we find that's quite fun. When we do get a bit more immediate responses, not that we've been looking at the chat, not that
Yeah.
we even announced we were streaming today. We
I don't know if you
probably get a schedule in place. That's something we'll be doing in the
we'll
future.
do that.
Say
Always say
a
we-
week or 2 before. This is the day we're streaming.
We say
Rather
that a
than
lot
2
though.
minutes
Like
before.
generally, I'm like I'm going to stream, and then it fails miserably, and I can't stream.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear, but my computer's whirring like a bitch. That's the reason that we're not.
they won't. The noise gates will sort that out.
That's the reason that we're not replying to comments in the chat because we can't have any more windows open than we already have.
As far as the blog goes, I mean, none of us have written a blog in over a year now, but we will be having other kind of contributors throwing things on there. So if you like reading rather than listening or whatever, there is going to be content over there. I mean, we don't tend to talk about Halo on here, as we said on the very first podcast, because we know people who do it better. However, we do have someone at the minute putting up a fan fiction about Halo. it's still very much in our kind of wheelhouse. So, if you do have something you want us to talk about when it comes to that subject, we are quite knowledgeable as far as the fiction goes, etc. Sorry, mate.
My fault.
We've got a couple of other little things I want to be trying on Twitter as well, which hopefully are just in the kind of embryonic stages. We're just going to try and broaden what we do, and we're going to release it on every avenue available, whether it be audio or video. We might even start sending out postcards or some shit like that. I mean, that's all the plans we've got at the minute, but we have got a pretty decent year ahead of us.
Yeah, let's hope so.
We're going to make sure everything we put out to you is a little bit different. I think, it's fair to say, and I know I'm doing a lot of rambling here as usual.
You're the host. You're supposed to do the most talking.
But I think we'd got to a stage where we'd done a lot of the same thing over and over.
Well, it has been 2 years.
I know I got obsessed about honing the best layout possible, but replicating that every week. And suddenly we had a kind of format that was, very kind of static. And I don't think that's really the way to go in order to keep things varied. So you won't see that layout this year, ever. You guaranteed that. I know what we will be doing. We'll be singing some songs.
Woo!
I think Crinbot's brought something out for that. What song do you want us to do? Have you got one in mind, Maestro? All right, we'll get the lyrics up for that then. Hold on. I'm going to bring them on my phone. So yes, one last thank you to everybody who's listened. We appreciate all of the input you've given us. And we do hope you continue to chime in. And even if you don't, just continue to consume the content, enjoy it, and hope it makes your days go a bit quicker, whether you're at work or traveling or running or whatever it is you're doing.
It's weird how well your voice fits with the music. It's like a nice backing track.
I was actually genuinely trying that. I'm always trying a bit too hard, to be fair. Fuck, I can't find the lyrics for this, as usual.
No, I don't know if they're in there.
They are.
In the Evernote.
Are they not? Have you got
Look like it.
You got the notepad there?
Nah.
Wow.
We don't have it. I think we can.
We do have it. We do have it. Is it not in there?
No, it's not.
Tell him we deleted Nintendo.
No, it's not. It's on my external hard drive.
All right. Okay. Cool. That's fine.
But we can remember the lyrics. I can remember the lyrics. We can remember the lyrics. Yeah, we can.
Say, I remember when we used to sit on a tatty sofa in Hexham. I would play I. Me, Quim Ninja play Gone Gone.
You're asking a lot about typing.
Eremenko played me.
There we go.
No little monkeys
trapped in their balls. Those were some good times, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we just have a look in the Evernote and see
Yeah, because we were so strong there, and then it just all fell apart. This
Satoru Iwata.
Have you got it?
No. I just knew that was one of the lines.
All right, what
we Don't shed no tears.
What we got then? Got regulators.
Didn't really put that many of them. We never finished it. No.
We've got virtual insanity. I've actually seen that one already today. All right, I've got it. Wow.
I can't find
This is how
any
much
songs in
content we
here.
have. This ain't happening.
Virtual Insanity's there.
We didn't write any of them in the Evernote.
Nah,
did we?
most of
We
them
did
just
them
went
all
on
on a
the
notepad.
Notepad, which I put all of on
Let me
my
just-
external hard drive yesterday. Oh, we did.
Oh yeah, there we go.
What's that? Greatest cast in the world. Can we do that one? The game attack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'll do.
Deep blue
Start again,
mad.
start again, start
Yeah,
again.
okay.
We're totally fucking this for ourselves. Okay. So your water. Alright, ready. Deeply dip about your game attack. Deeply mad, mad for the name you had. Deeply dip about your Steam ID.
Deeply mad. Mine is shit and yours is rad. Game attack. It's got no X's or numbers in it. Game attack. You don't once mention 420 or cannabis now.
Deeply
Dip about your gamer score. Mine's real poor. Yours is so much more. Deeply dip about the cheese you've got. There's shit hot cheese that I haven't got. Gamer score. You're well into triple digits. TBoD. Let's podcast about tangents and whatnot now. Hey.
Good, yeah. Which one do you want to do?